I grew up in Zacatecas, Fresnillo, Zacatecas, since I was 1 to until I was 14. And then we moved to Guadalajara, and I went to school in Guadalajara, and then until I was 17. I lived in the U.S. for 41 years between Orange County and LA County.
So in Mexico, I currently do remote work for a property management company located in Wyoming. I was taken to the U.S. with my parents at 3 years old. When I was in the U.S., I worked several different jobs. I did construction. I ran fiber optic cable for a subcontractor company. Worked at nightclubs. Ultimately, when I became a DACA recipient, I worked for a Toyota dealership and a radio station.
The reason that I returned to Mexico again is my mother. To take care of her. She's 91. She was 91 when I moved back to Mexico. And she's 93, 94. When I arrived to Mexico, I was surprised and excited. There is a huge difference between USA and Mexico. The differences are the money, the everyday life. Everything I do in Mexico is totally different from USA. Food, people, streets, cities.
One of the main things that I've had to adapt to over the years has been work, and also the food. The food is different. The food is a little bit more natural, less processed. There's days, the holidays are different. I still get the American holidays off because of my job.
For shopping, for grocery shopping versus Mexico, I go to the swap meet. Here my address, close to my address, we are like 20 families that came from USA, and we kind of look at each other and we say hi, that's all we say, and then we start talking in Spanish. But when we say hi, we identify that we come from USA to live in Mexico, and we are like 20 families. In USA wasn't very Catholic, I will say. I didn't went to church many times. Like in Mexico, I back to my church, and some people and I would go to a group of families to enjoy the experience. And I noticed that in Mexico, a lot of families go to church together, and every weekend, I see them at church, and that makes me feel very very Mexican, very Catholic. Some of the challenges that I had to go through are the water, for example. It was very difficult also. The hot water running in the kitchen to wash the dishes. It was beautiful in USA, but in Mexico we had to warm up the water to wash dishes with grease, and it takes longer. And gas, we burn more gas in order to do that, but we have to do it, especially in very, very cold days. You cannot wash the greasy dishes with cold water. You have to warm up water to wash them. I reached my goal by saving, and it took me years, but I did it. Adapt myself to Mexico. I feel proud of myself and people who surround me. They're being very understanding, but I feel comfortable. And I told my daughters, I did it and you guys can do it too.